So I think I had to start with when my first memoir, Always Running. I was a very troubled young man. I was in gangs. I was on heroin. I was in and out of jails, juvenile facilities. I was homeless for 3 years. That's enough to say nobody wants anything to do with him. And that's the way the world was. I was fortunate that I got, I want to say saved. It's hard to say if that's the right word. I got pulled by the Chicano movement, which I know your father was part of. I got pulled by that movement for just social justice and change. Maybe other things pull people, but that's what got me out. When you're on heroin, very few things can pull you. I know Jesus Christ has helped some people. Islam has helped people, but I know for me it was a social justice Chicano movement. And so I changed my life to become kind of commensurate to what the movement was asking of me. Letting go drugs, letting go. Eventually drinking, I drank for 20 years on top of the drugs, but I had to let that go. And to really commit to being a voice, because we didn't have hardly any voices. And the thing with me is I always read. Even when I was a troubled young man, I would go to libraries. That was my refuge. I would carry books to the body, or nobody made fun of me, but that was my thing. And that helped me think that maybe I could write books, because I think being able to tell our story versus others telling our story was very important for me.
Yeah, I just got to channel something.
Yeah.
You walked into the studio with a bag of books.
Yeah, no.
And then you just talked about, as a young person, you always walked around with a bag of books. And a story that my dad, because my dad and you were organizing together in the Chicano movement. Yeah. There was a bank building in UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And he was running with a bag of books, jumping over things. And it was funny because you would think like, you just got to get away from the police or military.
Right.
You throw everything out. But what mattered to him most was the books.
You know, I'm going to tell you a story. My family didn't care for me in the books. They thought I'm working class. Get a job. Don't worry about books. Don't worry about art. But I gravitate towards art, photography, and books. And then I became a writer. My parents everybody's like, forget it, he's lost cause. It's kind of weird, but that's the way it was. Well, anyway, when I became successful, my mom came to me years after with 4 books that my grandfather had written. She says, I never wanted to show it to you because I didn't want to encourage you. Wow. But now that you're doing so well, I want you to know your grandfather wrote books in Mexico. Can you imagine? Wow. I mean, there are seeds and things that we don't always know. Why I got into language, why I became a book writer. It wasn't a Chicano thing in that we were working class people, but it was a Chicano thing in that we needed to speak out. We needed to tell our story. And of course, there was Lona de Cervantes, Jose Montoya, there was Sanders Cisneros, there was all these writers that popped out to tell the story. So I really appreciated my mom after years and years of constantly putting me down and realizing that this is my path, this is my passion.
And then it's 17, correct? 17
I got
books?
17 books now.
And the 18th coming.
And the 18th. And then I also have, I have 2 more books I got my agent working on. I also have a bookstore at Teachucha Centro Cultura and bookstore. So books have been with me for a long time. Even when people saying books are going, people are more on the internet, whatever, I don't believe it. I think books are still necessary. I think people need to have books.
They are. And then let me take it back to, not only are you Los Angeles' first ever poet laureate.
I think I was the second one, but yeah.
Well, you'll be mine.
Yeah.
But your book, and I don't know if it's still true, but most checked out stolen book in American libraries, and it's always running.
Right.
But well, at least for me, Luis, your first book that you're most known for is really a love letter to your son.
Right. A very important part of the story. My son had did close to 15 years in prison, 13 and a half year stretch the last time. I was trying to be a dad to him, and I lost it. I wasn't the dad that he needed or wanted. I had learned a lot because I had a dad that was also very detached, emotionless. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. And I realized that, you know what, I'm not going to make up for what I, in the past. But I remember when he was sitting in prison, I told him, because we finally got close when he was in prison, which is really sad. But we got really close. I told him, I'm going to ride this roller coaster through hell with you. And we're going to be there. I'm going to be there for every step of the way. I'm going to visit you in prison. I'm going to write you letters. But we're going to do it together. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you when I was there, but let's start now. It's an invitation. He took it. My daughter did the same thing. They okay, let's start now. I don't recommend parents wait till their kids are in prison to do this, but now me and my son are very close. Me and my daughter are close. So it's like you can never stop doing that. You can never stop being a father, even if it's late. I have to admit, I messed up when I was younger, but let me start now. And they've been very good. They could have just said drop dead, and I would have accepted it. They've been very good to say, okay, let's start.
What was that process of you? Because I hear there's like a forgiveness to yourself, and then an invitation to also be forgiven. What was that?
I think the main thing is to know that. I had a friend of mine who a good teacher. I have a lot of teachers, but one of them was saying, there's three spirits that you kind of enter the world with. One is from family spirit, genealogy, family dynamics, all this stuff. It comes with you. Your parents are born a certain way and everything else. The other one's ancestors. The ancestors are always there. You can call on them, and they're always with you. So you're never really ever alone. You always can call on them. But the third one is your own. That spirit that never's been here before. That unique spirit that you have to take care of. That nobody else is going to see like you. And so I mentioned that because I think that's what I had to learn, that I needed to make sure that that spirit that I was born with, as a whole and complete human being, that got messed up with a bunch of other stuff coming in, that I had to make sure that spirit was properly taken care of and nurtured, so that I could be the best father, the best writer, the best husband, the best community member I could be, because I think all of us need to do that. It's unique to everyone, so you got to know it very well. It's different than all the other spirits that are with us.
And let me ask you, with that being said, you and I have done a lot of work in prisons and in these institutions that are designed to break spirit.
Exactly.
Especially those three spirits you were just talking about. Yeah. But you reconnecting with your son in a dungeon, for all intents and purposes, in a cage, that's one of the most vulnerable acts a father can do with his son, and yet you did it in this space. Yeah. What was that like? And was that, obviously that was the only choice you had, but...
Well, obviously a father doesn't want his son in prison and doesn't want to see his son like that. But unlike some parents, like my parents threw me out of the house when I was 15, I get it. I don't even complain about it. They did the right thing, I think. I couldn't do that with my son. When he was in the gang, I thought of it. The book always, when he starts, when I'm thinking I'm going to push him out, but I couldn't. And I had to go and be his dad, even though I wasn't good at it. Finally, when he's sitting in prison, made all his mistakes, we could then slow down. The prison kind of helped him in many ways, because he would have been dead or killed somebody. He got into violent felonies. He shot at somebody that almost died, and at 2 police officers, very serious things. But my son in prison, it kind of slowed everything down. So you took advantage of that. But it's still a dungeon. It's still prison. So one of the things I tell the guys that I work with, I've been working in prison for 44 years, I work with my son, is we got to give you the keys of liberation even when you're behind bars. Because you don't need to be in prison in your mind. Your mind has got to be free no matter where you're at. Helping people learn that and know how to keep that going. My son had to learn to be free in his mind, enough to that. And I use art, I use writing, I use critical thinking, anything that can help us do that, because eventually he was going to get out like a lot of people. And I want him to be self-driven and self-responsible, so that they don't go back to what they were, but can actually help bless the community and not curse it like a lot of people can do.